Hi, I'm Lauren here at River Gallery School of Art, and today we're going to be doing some really basic color mixing using a 3-color primary palette. I've got cadmium yellow light, magenta, ultramarine blue, and titanium white on my palette today. So, got 2 palette knives, and I'm going to start with these 3 colors as my primaries and show you what it looks like to mix them down with a little bit of white. I'm going to make this a lower pile. I really get crazy with my yellows. So there's my yellow without white, and then here's my yellow in a lighter version. And maybe I want a middle version, so I'm going to put a little bit more in. Wipe off my palette knives. This is my rag. It looks like my bed sheet. Well, not my bed sheet, but somebody's bed sheet. Okay, here's my magenta. So I'm using this magenta today because it's a red, but it's a cool red. So I'm gonna get a nice purple out of it eventually. There's with a little bit of white. Here's with a little bit more white. Just so you get a sense of what that color is, that primary color to begin with. This is my ultramarine blue. Like frosting. A little bit of white. A little bit more white. So see, already we have a lot of different tones of these 3 colors. So these being our primaries, I'm now going to mix us 3 more colors, which are our secondary colors. So taking the yellow and the magenta, a little less magenta than yellow because the magenta is a really dark, strong pigment. I'm going to make myself a dark orangey color. And then I'm just going to mix that down a little, not with the white this time, but with my lighter color. So, a little more yellow, and taking a little bit of that, slightly more yellow. And we can keep going like this. We could also go in the other direction if we wanted a very, very light version. So I just brought a little of my last mixture into my lightest yellow to get that. So now I have a nice range of orange. And next I'm going to do purple. So I'm going to take some of my magenta and some of my blue, just a little bit of blue, because again the blue is a little darker than the magenta. So to start with, I'm going to get a purple. Like, it's a little hard to see with the darker colors, but I'll show you in the end on the piece of paper. Purple, maybe I want a slightly lighter version of this purple, so I'm going to start with my lighter color and mix into that. And then maybe I want a slightly darker version of this purple. get sort of an infinite number of different purples just from these two colors. And it's just two colors, so, you know, as I want to adjust things, I'm just mixing around. Okay, and now I'm going to do my green. Now, I shouldn't have actually brought over that much blue, because the blue compared to the yellow is very, very dark. So to get a light green, I just have the tiniest bit of blue, just the residue from my palette knife actually. And then if I want to darken it, just add a little at a time. Get myself a good range. Now this is something that you want to experiment with. It's really fun to just try to mix out a bunch of different values of a color. Okay, so now I'm going to mix my neutrals. So I'm going to go back to my first three colors, my yellow, my red, and my blue, and I want to mix a black. So I'm going to take my blue, which is my darkest color on the palette and my closest to the black family's colors, and I'm going to make myself a purple, and I can even use some of my purple that I've already mixed because it's the same blue and the same magenta. And then I'm going to mix some of my yellow in. And I'm just going to do a little of the yellow, but this is going to neutralize the three colors into a different color. So still purple, as long as it's still looking purple to me, I'm going to keep putting yellow in, and then I'll see what else I need to add if I need to after I get it to. I don't want it to be any of the colors that I've already mixed. I want it to be a dark, dark color that combines all three primaries. And I'm probably going to have to add some blue back in just to get the right ratio at this point. So I got it a little towards the green, but there's no wasting paint with this kind of three color mixture because you can always change it. And if you want, you know, you can take some, say I want to keep some of that gray because it's really a nice steely gray, and I want to add some more blue to part of this mixture to make it slightly different. Okay, there we go. Now I'm just going to look at it more closely by adding it to some white. So let's see what this gray ends up being. It's pretty blue. This is a slightly different version of it. It's hard to see. Oh yeah, that one's actually a little more neutral. It's a little on the purpley side. It may be hard to see, but when you add white, you can see it a little bit better. So that's a gray made from my three primaries, and I can have more or less white in that. I might want a darker version here, and then an even darker version. Okay, and now from the same three primaries, I'm going to make a brown. So I'm going to have more of the red and the yellow in this mixture because the browns move towards the red family. So I'm going to make myself an orange. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of the blue. And you have to mix stuff. Oops, I got a little white in there. You have to mix all the way through to see the change happen. And then I'll decide, do I like that brown? I don't have anything to compare it to today, but I'm going to add a little yellow to it. And I'm going to do the same kind of mix down with the white just so we get a sense of what we're seeing. But in this case, instead of just using the white like I did for the gray, I'm actually going to use the yellowed white because I don't want the pastiness, the bluing of the titanium to get my brown to look pasty. I want it to keep its warmth. So I'm having to counterbalance the titanium white with my cadmium yellow light as I'm adding it. So I'm lightening with both the white and the yellow. I hope that's not too confusing. Again, try this out because you'll have to see it for yourself to understand that mixture. My hope is that your eyes will see it as it's changing, and instead of having to intellectualize it or put it into words, you can just see it happening before you and know it that way. So these are our primaries, secondaries, neutrals, and different tonal values, and then you have your complementary colors, so your orange and blue, yellow and purple, red and green. So that gives you a really good starting point for learning color mixing. And I have this is another way you could put it onto the paper for yourself. Primaries mixed down, secondaries mixed down, neutrals mixed down. So thanks for joining us today. Happy mixing.